Biden had long telegraphed what he was going to do with the pipeline, so it really wasn't a surprise. Historically, though, under Trump, we would sort of read about it in the newspaper that he had a middle of the night idea to start imposing tariffs on various products. So it is a different world, and when you're dealing with a relationship that exists that's warm, at least you won't get those surprises and you can deal with it. I think we need the US. We always have. So working that relationship is going to matter when it comes to China, getting our two Michaels free, working on climate change issues. You can't do it without America on side. So that's going to be good for us. So all in all, this is a first. But I think we have to remember we're all in a pandemic. So I don't know what we can expect that is on anybody's agenda except get ourselves out of this pandemic. And to that end, I don't think it's a surprise that the Americans want to inoculate themselves first. Canadians would feel the same way. Let's make sure our Canadians get the vaccine, and then we'd be happy to take care of the world. So, they're not any different from any other country. So to be fair, I think once we can get into, I hope by the summer that we're feeling much more relieved around vaccines, we're going to start turning our attention to international matters and getting our economy back on track.
Gary Marr, maybe I'll start with you. One of the things that was announced, one of the announcements out of this summit was a climate and energy talks structure for North America between Canada and the U.S. and I guess possibly Mexico. What does that mean for Canada's interests, Gary Marr?
Well, let me say, first of all, I think that Mexico is really in a shambolic state as it relates to energy. I'm not sure that Mexico would be included in a North American strategy. It could be a case where it's a bilateral relationship between Canada and the United States that goes forward. I think both countries are probably interested in taking some kind of a bilateral approach as they go to the Conference of the Parties in Glasgow in November of this year. And we want to make sure that as Canada, we're not too far ahead of what they do in the United States, or we'll place ourselves at a competitive disadvantage. But the idea of perhaps collaborating on energy and climate together is an idea that makes sense so that we can be two countries that are ready for being competitive vis-a-vis the rest of the world. So the challenge, of course, is that the devil is all in the details. The idea of the structure doesn't concern me. But what comes out of it is something that could be really problematic depending on the details that are struck up.
Joe Oliver, these energy talks, what do you make of that?
Well, I think, at this point, we simply don't know. I mean, the big issue on the energy file, of course, is Line 5. Which is this line which goes between Lake Huron and Lake Michigan under the Straits of Mackinac, and the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, has said that she may revoke the assessment. I don't know that she necessarily has the authority to do that, and Enbridge is challenging her in court. But it raises a very serious, broad issue, which is that we can't count on rationality, on jobs, on economic development, on tax revenue as necessarily being the overwhelming policy drivers to decisions when it confronts the environmental groups and politicians who are beholden to them or agree with them. This is such a critical pipeline for the Americans and for Ontario and Quebec that you would think, to use an old phrase, it's a non-brainer. And nothing is a non-brainer anymore when you're dealing with people who may not have any. We've got to be careful because Canada can be roadkill in this matter, as it was on Keystone. And I don't know that that's the last we're going to hear of these issues, even if this one is settled the way we want it to. And my guess is, very quietly, you wouldn't have seen that in the public part of the discussion. My guess is that was very much one of the agenda items that our Prime Minister had for the American president to emphasize how important it is for us but also, of course, for them. And I'm sure the president was not inclined to see that disrupted.